everyone, Peggy here. Thanks for tuning in to this week's video. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to get into turning the large maple log that I showed you at the end of last week's video. So I hope that you stick around and watch that. I do have the finished piece here. I'm going to show it to you really quick, so make sure you don't push pause or rewind. So there it is. I do have some cool new merch, t-shirts, hats, mugs, etc. So make sure you check those out and get yourself some cool swag. So without further ado, let's get turning. See you at the end of the video. So I'm using a faceplate to attach this to the lathe. This piece was kind of heavy, so I made sure I had some heavy-duty screws into the faceplate and also the tailstock pulled up for additional safety. Starting off with the Carter & Son bowl gouge. This is the 3/4 inch bowl gouge. Starting with the lathe at about 450 RPM, which isn't bad considering it was not in round. So quickly getting it to round and truing it up here. Still a little bit bouncy, as you can see. This is the Carter & Son 1-inch bowl gouge that you just saw me use. A different vantage point there with the GoPro view. Able to turn up the lathe speed here. I believe I'm at about 600 RPM here, maybe 625. And it is pretty much in round as far as the outside. Just truing up the bottom. We're going to start on the bottom here. You can see it's not flat. It's not necessarily even curved in the right way. So starting to make that curve, and then start working on the foot. It can always be a little bit tricky when there's some bark on an area that you're trying to make a foot. Well, it can be tricky on any area, really, but you know, I didn't want to leave the bark on there as part of the foot because obviously it could chip off and it wouldn't be sturdy enough. But leaving bark on can be aesthetically very good, just not in the location that it was on this piece. So the piece is at rough shape at this point, and I'm using a combination of push and pull cuts, stopping often to check where I want to take off material. And I know it looks like I'm going to be using a tenon, but I am actually using a foot. Some of the wood in the area of the bottom was a little bit punky, So I was making sure I had some nice solid grain for the foot. And this is the Carter & Son Skew Chisel, helping to flatten the bottom, and this is the parting tool, using it to define the foot. Using a push cut here to go around the curve and take off quite a bit of material actually to make the curve as soft as I want. I don't want it to be super bulky, I guess is the word. So after that is done, mounting it now in the 4-jaw chuck. And before I start turning, I'm going to address these cracks. I use Starbond CA glue. This is the thin that I'm using to make sure it gets down into the cracks, where using a medium or a thick wouldn't really get down there like I needed them to. And I'm only showing a moment of using the Starbond, but there was many more times where I used Starbond, and I used the Starbond black in the medium. So after I gave that a few minutes to dry, starting the hollowing process. And yes, my tool rest was too low if you were noticing that and it was bugging you. It was bugging me too. And yes, I get a lot of questions about why am I not making 2 or 3 bowls from this piece. Bowl coring isn't as simple as it may sound. I am looking to upgrade my coring system to something a little bit more user-friendly. So when I do that, I will show some coring in some of the videos. Personally, however, I find hollowing out bowls very therapeutic, so I actually don't mind it. I know that it's sad to see that go to waste, but I do use it for compost, so it doesn't become a bowl, but it does get reused. So switched over to the robust interior curved tool rest, as you can see. I will link that and all the other tools and products I use in the video description. This robust tool rest, last I checked on Amazon, was $107. I think it's worth every penny. If you have it, leave me a comment and let me know what you think. If you are interested in taking a class on wood turning, I do have an online course, Getting Started in Wood Turning. I'll link it in the video description. I am considering making another online course, and that one will be about coloring and embellishing bowls with stains and dyes. If that's something that anyone would be interested in, leave me a comment down below. I sanded this piece from 80 grit to 400 grit. After all the sanding, use some denatured alcohol to both raise the grain and remove any dust. This is sanding sealer. I used a 70-30 mix of the Zinsser's brand sanding sealer. I'll link that in the video description. And 30% denatured alcohol. After that has had a few minutes to dry, I use some high grit sandpaper to denib that. And I'm touching it to make sure there's not anything laying around that I missed. After a brush with the air gun, now I'm on to Axe wood turning paste. I do have a great discount code for Axe in the video description. Make sure you give it a try. If you haven't, you won't be sorry. I've received a lot of messages of people who have tried it based on my recommendation and are very happy that they did. So easy to use. And the Axe polishing paste. And buffing the polishing paste is my favorite part. It just makes that shine, but not too glossy. Here are some still photos. Stay tuned for another on-camera appearance. Hi everyone, so let's talk about the bowl. Here is the finished piece. You've probably already seen the still pictures of it. It is 11 1/4 in diameter and about 4 1/4 inches tall from the bottom to the top. And I know I say this about every piece of maple I turn, but this has some spectacular color. I'm going to try to show you some of it close up, but there are a bunch of reds. There's red here, here, and quite a bit of it right here. And this piece, as you saw during the turning, did have quite a bit of, well, not quite a bit, but it had its share of cracks. And I filled those in with Starbond, a CA glue. Mostly I used black. I did use some clear, but mostly the black. And you can see that here, this was a crack. Here. And you know, that's the challenge about turning logs, I guess. They're gonna have some cracks. A lot of them are. I've rarely turned any that have had none. Sometimes you can turn away the cracks, but you can't always do that. And so instead of throwing it in the, in the fire pit, I like to accentuate the cracks with black, because especially if it has some spalting, it kind of matches it really. Unless you look closely, you kind of can't tell where the cracks were. And this one, it has some interesting character on the rim. It goes from this sort of green to this. Anyway, this, I get a lot of questions about how long a piece took me, and this probably took me 10 hours or so, 8 to 10 hours to finish. There was a lot of sanding and filling cracks and sanding and making sure that all of the cracks were filled, so over time it will stand up. And I am happy to say that I think it will. So, finished piece. This is a larger bowl, and I am pretty happy with it. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I will be happy to read and reply to everyone. And yeah, I mean, this one is pretty big. It's bigger than my head. So One more thing, well, maybe two more things. That Eye Candy has given my viewers a discount code, which is linked in the video description. Even though we didn't use any resin in today's video, you know that I use resin and pigment powder frequently. I'm going to show you a few of my favorite colors from Eye Candy. This is one of them. This is Okinawa Blue. Try not to get it all over me, but... And Eye Candy comes in different sizes. This one is the 50-gram version. This is the one I buy mostly just because I use my fair share of it. This one is Dark Ocean Blue. This one is Iceberg Blue. This is the 25-gram version. As you can see, I've used a lot of this one. I really like this color. And this is Magma Magenta. So 50 grams, 25 grams, and they make the smaller kind of pouch sizes as well if you just want to try, or if you don't use it that often. But anyway, be sure to check them out. Link in the video description. Also, be sure to check out the cool new PF Woodturning merch. And if you do purchase some merch, take a picture of yourself with it or wearing it and send it to me. Tag me. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course YouTube. Looking forward to seeing you in the cool new t-shirt, hoodie, fleece, or sipping some coffee in a PF Woodturning mug. So until next week, peace out. And I did say I would show you what I am working on next. However, I am working on a lot of different things. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of what I am working on. This is a piece of cherry that I'm working on. No, it is not going to be a bowl. It is going to be a table. I'm going to be filling this with resin. And another thing that I'm working on that is not wood turning, but neither is the table that I just showed you. But if you didn't know, I also make jewelry. If you're interested in purchasing any, I do have it available on my website. But just an example, earrings shaped like the state of Maine. There's another pair of earrings. These ones are made of leather. These are made of wood, shaped like a turtle. Also different colors for the state of Maine earrings. And I guess that's about all I can show you at the moment. Remember, if you have a sticker, to be sure to send me your sticker